Hello and welcome to the last Dance of the Soul, which is a blessing for us both and a
Yes.
sad thing at the same time. And, this show is going to be dedicated to, I'm going to call it 3 years. I'm just going to call it 3 years because
Yeah,
April,
it's been
because
about 3 years, right?
September would have been our third year, starting of our fourth year, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
And so
So
with that,
3 years.
we're just honoring this moment. And I hope that those that want to be here with us and celebrate, I wish I had wine glass, but I don't drink wine. But, and I didn't tell that to Regan, but we're here to just celebrate. And Regan Forston and I have, oh my gosh, Regan, the way that we came together, and we're going to just have a general
Yeah,
conversation today because there was no intent. It's about how we, do things. And there's just, but a lot of this, if we want to follow our intuitive guidance or that feeling of gut, that's, hi, Veronica, that, thank you for being here, that was part of our journey, was feeling that intuitive gut knowing to come
right.
together.
Hmm.
Because there was one person who had Regan on his radio show on Sunday. There's a local radio station here, KKNW 1150, and he had you on. And all of a sudden I got this gut feeling like you were talking about past lives and how things happen. And I'm like going, I had a past life. I remember being born. And so I
Hmm.
called up because I just was like, it was all I could do not to pick up the phone. I mean, if I had to not pick up my phone, it would have been like a sin almost. So it was that
Yeah.
kind of feeling. And then, ended up calling you and talking about it. And then the person was like, hey, let's just start a show, all three of us.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then, after time, that person dropped away. And then Regan and I decided, let's change up the name.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then went into doing this. And you're in a public place here, so
Yeah.
in a local
That was
home.
my
So,
love. Just passed.
yep, that's one right, Patty.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then we've had this journey of wanting to support you, our listeners, our followers, into becoming a better self. And these
Hmm.
shows will be on my website, and they'll be on Facebook forever. And it's one of those things that, but yet they might be just reorganized, into
Yeah.
another area way. I might be grouping these, and then I'm going to be starting my show, every day with an angel.
Now you're
And
starting
then
that as of next Wednesday. You're going to start it.
I've actually started it. I
Okay.
started changing it over,
Good.
but the first, so September 1st is like the how a store opens up and they kind of say
Yeah.
some things, and then but then the real opening is going to be the first
Yeah.
Wednesday of April or
Yeah.
September. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
had a
So
nut reaction and I'm still kind of loopy a little bit from taking my Pepsi or my
yeah.
my
So people.
medicine. So um
So to be clear with people watching, all we're doing is we're just kind of morphing here. In other words, for right now, like every third Wednesday, I be on your show, but it's going to be called Every Day with an Angel, right? And just changing things. And I've been so busy in my practice here that that's about all I can handle is one a month. I'm just
yes,
starting
you
to get
were just
this.
on Coast to Coast after dark.
I know. Yeah. And
Oh my
I
gosh,
have
what a
like
blessing for
hundreds.
you.
Yeah. I have, had more people visit my site in one day than did in the last 2 years. So it's like, I'm trying to think of how to handle this because, I'm only one person. So I'm directing a lot of them to the Newton Institute site to find a therapist in their area because there's 250 of us. And I'll be working. I have enough clients here now, for the next year or two, to be, so some of them I'll have them to be booked for 6 months out or
Yeah.
so,
Which is
and I'll be
sad. I
working
mean,
more. Yeah.
yeah, and which is kind of sad because we do want to honor you as you go in. And I know for me, like a doctor kind of thing, I do have a couple clients that if they're really in need, really like in need, that I can slip you in on these certain times,
Yeah.
but at the same I gave that grace for those that can slip in. But yeah, at the same time though, when we get, like, I was on the uh Next Level Soul, and that opened me up, and oh my gosh, I was so grateful for that
Yeah.
opportunity to share love, light, and you're sharing your love and light. And so that's why we had to morph this into Wednesday, because it's just like, when the universe says go,
Hmm.
you got to be
I
ready.
know. I know.
And
So,
that's the thing that we were both listening to, and Patty was actually right on board with this too, because she
mhm.
asked you the night before, because I got the message from my
I
girlfriend,
know. Patty knew. Yeah.
every day with an angel, and then that next Monday when I was talking to you, Patty actually said, "Hey, how long are you going to be doing these shows, right?" Or something like that.
Yeah. That's what she said. Hmm. So, see, that's the thing, and we want to talk about today, and that's how to handle change when it comes. Um, because as human beings, we tend to want to push off any kind of change because, change takes effort and it gets us out of our comfort zone to go to another level.
Hmm.
And I think it's been great and good in the fact that us both realizing that. I mean, it was actually a little scary, but just known it just is what's the next step in our evolution and what's happening with ourselves and the world. So,
Hmm.
um, you know,
But that's the thing is though, is it's having the conversation around it, and to answer your question, Veronica, everything will stay the same. The only thing that will be changing is no more shows on Monday and live shows on Wednesday.
yeah,
So everything will stay the same. Wednesday will stay the same. It's just Monday shows will be going away, because then if you go to
yeah.
Monterey, then you don't have to worry about us.
Well, see here, you can just see the change, like just recently you know, uh, when your followers on your uh, followers on your site and everything went into the like 500 or something,
Yes,
and that'll even on if you get coast to coast, it'll probably change to 2 or 3,000 people.
yes.
So that at least the messages that we have, there'll be more people listening and they can share with others, and it's like this ripple effect, and we're just part of their. It's like in this. I'm just looking at the ocean right out the window and seeing these waves come in, and uh, and just realizing that us people that call ourselves light workers, we're each of us has a little piece to this giant puzzle. You know, people listen to us and they get a piece, and they listen to someone else, they get a piece. And so hopefully then people, spirituality or what they know about God and everything, they're going to begin to have a real wider viewpoint. And that
Hmm.
helps you in your life and everything you do. It helps you to be more kind, helps you to wake up in the day and do better things, or it helps you to deal with the roadblocks and the difficulties that you have a lot better. Because the more tools you have, the more you know what everything is supposed to be, the easier it is to get through things.
Exactly, exactly. And when we're going through this, it's an interesting place to witness yourself going through a lot of these changes and morphing into our greater self. It's like, wow, can I actually handle this? Can I actually negotiate this? And thank you, Kathy. Kathy's here, and she's my wonderful editor. And you did fine, Kathy. Yes, Regan will be here the third Wednesday of every month that he can be,
Yeah,
to negotiate the world of us still working together, because I don't want to lose you. And that's the thing that when we had this conversation about about things, it was like I said, Regan, how are you feeling about this show? Because I wanted Regan to have empowerment about doing this, and so when you're having conversations with someone, when you want something changed, you almost want to give somebody a choice on how they want to interact with it, right?
yeah,
Because I was having a feeling that it needed to change, but I didn't know what Regan's thoughts were. He might want
yeah,
to keep going for 5 more years, and I would have done that. I would have kept the
yeah,
dance of the soul and then did every day with an angel, and morphed that into what I was doing. But Regan, that's the thing is that being on the end of change. I know for me, like I had one person who, when we changed to uh to Dance of the Soul, that person just sent me an email, and it was like, eh, eh.
yeah,
It's like, I thought we were better than that. And then I wanted to honor Regan a little bit more with that. So I wanted to honor him by asking, hey, Regan, what are you thinking about this show? And what did you say? You said, funny
Um,
thing is,
Funny
Patty.
thing, Patty asked me the same thing the night before. Right. Uh-huh. So yeah, there she goes. See, right
Yeah.
there.
Hi, Patty.
She said
You know,
hi. Hi.
hi.
Yeah, Patty's been, just it's just our personal lives have been changed. Like, Patty's kind of winding down, but not. She's just shifting into to like a lot of her clients and things are just coming from stuff she's done for the last 30 years and not having to go after this. She was going after like expired listings for a long time. And it takes a lot of work. And now that she's relaxed there, she's starting to get busier than ever, just allowing things to come to her.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's just a different way. Instead of push, 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 just enjoy life and allow these things to come. And it's nice because it gives her more time, that way. And it's funny, like with me now, I'm just starting to get. If she's winding down, I'm winding up. Okay, so I
I'm
don't
feeling
know.
the same way. My husband's talking about retirement, and I'm like going, retirement? I'm
Right.
not retiring. I never saw myself retiring, actually.
I know. Same
But
with you
but
as
I,
you get busier. But
yeah.
see, that's what's nice about this work. I mean, when you're doing, is some people say God's work, or you're just being this co-worker, and we're each doing our little part. Um, it's like you can't just set a date and say, well, I'm just going to stop doing it at a certain date. So what I'm going to have to do, what I'm having to do now, is to find out as I morph into this, just how much can I do, and then when do I need to relegate the rest to others, and so that I can stay healthy, because this work takes a lot of energy,
Mhm.
um, and I was warned, or taught, is when I was in the afterlife coming back, and looking down and seeing the earth. I told this maybe a couple times in the last few years, but my guide Rebzar told me that if I was going to do this work, I had to be very cautious. He said you got to do four things, or your physical body can't handle the
Mhm.
energy, can get sick and die, because our vehicles here can just handle so much energy. It's just like electric coming out of your wall. You can, like if your car battery has like 12 volts, and that'll zap you and hurt a little bit, but you got 125 coming out the wall, and if you touch the dryer outlet, it's 400 or 220, and that'll
Mhm.
kill you. So
Yeah.
it's just energy. It's just energy, and our bodies can handle so much. So that's going to be a big lesson for me here. Get the ego out of it and thinking, or the feeling that I have to, you know, I have to, I have to be the one. If these people called me, that I have to be the one that helps them. Because part of me goes, gosh, what if these people can't get the help they need? I just have to find that balance of what I can do, and how much I can work and still stay healthy, and still do my work. So
Exactly. And that's the thing that I've learned is that I'm not using my energy. I'm not using my battery. I'm using the universal battery.
yeah.
I'm using their battery. And I know for me right now that I'm using their battery because I just had a nut allergy at in my day today. So I'm like, you could probably hear it in my voice a little bit is a little off, a little raspy because I just and so I had to take some medicine. So I'm not my higher self, but I knew that I was going to have problems. So I'm like going, okay, universe, bring it down because I need it.
Mm,
And so that's one thing if I can invite for you, Regan, is that let them let your team give you the energy. And Sue
yeah.
said that speaking of change, a healer I work with said that feels like the world went through a big energy shift recently. Do you see this too?
Mm,
Yes. We
yeah.
are
And it's
actually
continuing.
going through it right now. There was one that went
Hmm.
through like, oh, it's been over the last week, but we've had a couple of planets going into retrograde, and there's this big shift that's happening, a big awakening, and it's going to be here all the way through the equinox is what I'm hearing. And so with that that there's this just big, and then Mercury went into retrograde and we have our second full moon, and there's just a lot going on. So everything is setting us up for this decision making on what is our truth, what can we do, how can we speak our truth. Like today with the nut, and I saw nuts going out, and I'm like going, I almost stood up, and I should have. I said, guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you if you want to eat these almond joys, but remember, please, that I'm really struggling with tree nuts. And
Oh,
I didn't. I didn't. And there's a lesson in me that said, wait a minute, I have to have a voice. And when it is something, that we got to do and negotiate, what's our story? But I had a little bit, the universe gave me a gentle reaction so that I could learn this lesson with grace and ease, right? That because I've asked for grace and ease. So it gave me some grace and ease on how to speak up. And that's the thing is that I really felt this change was coming since September. I mean, since April, that there's changes coming with our shows, right?
yeah,
But I couldn't leap on it yet. I couldn't leap on it because I didn't have a key. And then my girlfriend, who's very intuitive, said, I have your key. She says, I got an idea for a podcast for you, Every Day with an Angel. And I went,
yeah. It's
I mean,
such a
my
great
first
title.
reaction was like, oh my God. And then I realized how much I was going to step into it, that it was me stepping into it, that it didn't matter what I was or who I was, that I just had to step into it. And because I stepped into it on this show, but there's been a part of me that I've been holding back, talking about, like you talk about the council that you meet up with. Well, there is our individual council, but there is a council of 8 that um that is that's in charge of the whole universe. And that's the council that one of my guys is talking to me, and he wants me to start talking about them and what the
Yeah,
council is doing.
yeah,
And, because it is a thing that, we're all going through this. And so this new idea is like, step into it, Natasha, step into who you are. And I went back and did my morning job, and I'm like going, I'm stepping into it. I'm really
yeah,
stepping into it. Wow. How am I supposed to step into it?
yeah. Well,
And you
yeah.
too.
Well, I remember not too many years ago, um, in talking to people mostly of the Christian faith, and they, I've been kind of indoctrinated to, oh, if you need some help, then you just, you don't go to the saints or anybody else. You can just ask God directly. Well, what we find out is that, yeah, you ask God directly, but then for God to help other souls to evolve, he has them help in being the ones that he sends to you. It's like, you need a plumber where you call and the boss is there, but he sends out a truck with the guy that's getting hired to help. And some people say, no, it's got to be the head guy to come out, the guy that owns the company's got to come out. But that's not the way it works. It's like, we find out that when we get to the other side, we're
Part of
all
the team.
evolved to a certain point. Yeah, we're part of the team, and everybody has a job. It's like like a whole company, not just the guy that owns the company or the head man.
Mhm.
And that's how we learn, and that's how I think. I don't know. Maybe it's God continually expanding itself in love because of all the parts of it, which is us becoming more loving. So who knows? It's so big. you know like on
Well,
the other
it
side,
is.
when I have people on the other side and they ask, well, can I see God? And they go, well, he's not really here, but he's and
We
when you ask someone on the other side, like where God is, they just kind of look up. I mean, they feel the presence, like in heaven, they feel this presence so much deeper. But God is almost incomprehensible still. It's just this large thing of love that encompasses everything, and it's not really something humans are meant to understand, I think.
exactly. Well, and this is what I've discussed, I think, on another show just recently here is that, we put God as a personality.
Yeah.
We put him as, and I say him because he has more masculine feeling in the energy field that I feel with
Mm-hmm.
him. And so with that but people think that he's this guy that it's like Zeus who sits on the throne and negotiates the story of who we are, and he's got a beard and he's up there going, you can't do that, you shouldn't
Yeah.
do that, you can do that. No, God's not a personality. Actually, if you feel the wind on your face on on a breezy day, that's the touch of God, in my understanding. He
Yeah.
is spirit, he is love, he's among us, he's part of us. He's woven into our DNA. He's and even people who are on the darker side, there is a touch of who we are and where we're going and what we're doing and that kind of stuff. But that's why we get a sense of God in a rainbow, or we get a sense of heaven in when we look into a dog's eyes, or a cat's, or in the purr of a cat. How many of us feel the vibration of a cat and just go, oh, well, that's a touch of God. Like on the Next Level Soul, he asked, what is your definition of God? And I took a breath and I started crying. And I just went, because it was just right there, and
Yeah.
that's where we are. But take our angels and our beings around us off the pedestals, because that's not who they are. They're part of
Yeah.
God, and God's not on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So let's see. Sue said here, thanks, did a massive healing on my throat chakra today, participating and speaking with my truth over eons, lifetimes, very deep. Oh,
Wow.
congratulations, girl. Yeah, Susan does a lot
Yeah.
of hypnotherapy also. And then
Oh.
let's see, Soba, thank you for being here. I asked God directly, but I got scammed by a lot of people who call themselves guides, healers, and spiritual coaches. That is a tricky place, because you know it, it is that fine line between who is stepping in the part of, like Regan. I was asking for a partner in doing shows, and I thought the person who who ended up leaving me by the email, send him love.
Hmm.
But I was asking for a partner, and I thought that person was a partner. Oh no, he got me started. Thank you, hallelujah.
Yeah.
But Regan was my partner. And now I know that my partner is getting guests on the show, having supportive, guests who can be there, and doing that work. But that's the thing is that sometimes we have to take the moment and understand that, like I walked out the door and there's 3 deer out there. That's a message from God. We
Hmm.
can't just look for God where we want him to look. It's about seeing where this whole story is and where our higher power is helping us. Sometimes, like I was talking to somebody and they said, "Yeah, I needed a light for something. And I was asking for my life to get better, and here a guy comes up and says, 'I have a light for you.' Gives you a light." Turned around and the guy disappeared.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
how
yeah.
can we do it? And I'm sorry that you feel like you got scammed, because, there are a lot of people who say that they are healers, and I'm gonna tell you there's a lot of, spiritual people that aren't spiritual.
Yeah.
And, um, and, you know, and it's sad that we do get scammed by non-spiritual people, but you have to look at who they are, research who they are. We can't just jump. We have to try and feel, does this person feel right? Does this person feels good? And maybe they might have a message for you that, out of 3 words. Sometimes I'm listening to a speaker and it's like, I'm like, well, why am I listening to this? Because I was called to listen to it. And then they said the 3 words I needed to hear. And I went,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Well, it's like finding a good therapist. Sometimes people go to a therapist and they walk out in disgust, like this guy's crazy. He doesn't hear me. He doesn't know me. I just feel awful with him. Well, but then you'll have someone walk in and it's their favorite therapist. So sometimes you just have to kind of tool around until you feel some affinity with that therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and the energy. Um, a lot of times when people go to the Newton Institute site, the reason that they say that they chose me, because there's 250 on there, they're down, and there was just some energy from my photo that they felt, and they just felt comfortable with it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I tell people. It says go to the site. It doesn't have to be me. Look and see if you find someone in your area, and find someone that's affordable for you, and someone who, when you talk to them, if you talk to them on the phone, just see how you feel, and your intuition sometimes will get you. But sometimes it's a trial and error, You have to see, oh, and before I forgot to, because you mentioned the deer thing, um, I had a client, my last one actually, and he was talking about he's been pretty aware of these God sightings, and he's been pretty good able to tell when something's there just for him. Um, he had early in his life when he was a teenager, and he was in Ireland, and he saw his friend shot down and died right before his eyes. And it was his best friend. They were like soul buddies. And that's been very, very difficult for him going into adulthood. He grew up over there in that turmoil of the
Mm-hmm.
fighting in Ireland, and so it was very dysfunctional over there with everybody. Um, so he's in a support group, and he's trying to get help for this, and everybody's talking about things, and the facilitator, and I forget exactly how this was, but the facilitator had each person try to think of that situation or that person in terms of an animal or something. And instinctively, my client says, "Oh, he was like a deer. I could see him with the qualities like a deer or something." And just as he says that, two deer out of the woods come over, look right into the window of the place where he was, and look directly at him. Okay, so now
Wow.
what's the
Talk
odds of
about
that?
life and
Yeah,
the universe saying, we're paying
yeah.
attention to you.
Now, excuse me. Now, the reason he said two deer, there was two things he had. The other thing was when he was just 10 years old. Um, he was 10 years old. Two 10-year-old boys, his age, were shot to death at his father's place of business, and that
Wow.
was really a shock when he's 10 years old. And he was grieving this still, even he's an adult now. And he thought of these young children had the innocence of deer, and then two deer came up to the window and looked at him that way. So he said that he just know that was them kind of saying everything's okay, that not to grieve, that everything was okay, and that did help him a lot in his healing. Yeah, he's a wonderful man, that way. So um, that's anyway. You mentioned about the deer. I just thought that was kind of bring that in
Yeah,
here.
the universe is really speaking up. So Sue says, talking about the being the scammed, that being scammed is an opportunity to learn discernment. And
Oh,
then
well, true. Yeah.
Soba says here that how can I spot a non-spiritual with a naked eye? I've been in this loop for about 2 years.
Oh boy.
I am. I'm sending you love for this. The last person I got scammed by, I figured the last person I got scammed by, I found him through the Coast to Coast AM podcast and New Soul, uh, New Soul Level podcast. What crazy world! I'm so disappointed and lost. Um, you know, um, and so with that, you know, look further than those two beautiful souls. Look no further than those beautiful two souls. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, Sue and I have been working together for a long time.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that, sometimes we have to do research. Really do research. If somebody's out there now, like for me, I have over 500 videos on my on my um, on my YouTube channel. I have been on Facebook. Now I have almost 12,000 videos and inspirational quotes. Look at their longevity. Look at their consistency. Look at their integrity. Look at their words that they use. And looking at that, and it's not about jumping and leaping. Like for me, I have a 15-minute uh, wow, that was a rattle. Free. Did you hear that?
No, yeah, I did.
Wow. Talk about synchronicity. Yeah. So did you hear that, Sue? No, you probably didn't. That because she lives by me. That look for some consistency. Check people out. I have a 15-minute. Sorry about that interruption. I have a 15-minute free phone call that I have on my website that people can sign up for if they want to talk with me. And a lot of times this is where the universe is really asking you so about to follow your inner gut. And it's not necessarily, and a lot of us go into judgment. A lot of us shut down when we're working with spiritual people. And sometimes when we are working with spiritual people, they may trigger us into something that we don't want to listen necessarily. So we have to look at how is the universe talking through us as spiritual people, and how do we speak, how do we negotiate, because it is longevity and it is about interaction. I personally would be careful about somebody who just started doing spiritual work if you are really trying to work through something deep, because of the fact that they don't have discernment. I have
Mhm.
practiced a long time with discernment, still working with it. I mean, the universe is really making sure that I walk the 50-yard mark, not the 49, not the 51, but the 50-yard mark. So,
Yeah.
Kathy, so yes, let's see, Kathy, you said here, I love when you put in the personal rule of thumb. If thunder, are we having thunder right now?
Oh, wow, that's what it is, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
We don't get thunder very often.
yeah,
So,
we don't either, hardly.
yeah. So the personal rule of thumb, if they can claim they can heal you, run. Healing is an inside job. A healer assists you in the journey of healing.
Yes, very good, Kathy.
They cannot do it for you. Yes, it's discernment. And what can we learn? And dang,
Yeah.
thunder from above. Yes. So thank you, Kathy, for saying that. And that's what I do. I have one video on I have a couple videos, and I say, I have a possibility of healing you. And when I do my sessions, I always say, I'm giving you a perception. So this is a chance for you to maybe update your truth, wear it in your back pocket for a while to see what those truths are talking to you. Because the fact that we are all on this possibility of healing. There's something that Regan and I are saying that is a possibility of negotiating some healing for you. But
Yeah.
that's up to you. That's up to your walk, your dance. We have to take, like my mantra this last week, not this week, but last week was, I'm taking responsibility for my life, because we have to take responsibility for who we are. And that's the
Yeah.
thing that with Regan and I changing up our podcast here is because we had to take responsibility for our own lives,
Yeah.
and we knew what we could do or couldn't do. And so how do we negotiate that? It's by taking that responsibility and saying, this doesn't feel right, or what they're saying. And there's been times where I've had a session with someone, I said, I'm going to stop this. I don't feel like we're connecting at all, and I don't know how to negotiate this with the
Hmm.
way that things are working. I don't know if I'm speaking a language that you understand or that feels right to you, but I want to honor you. And that's the thing is there's certain words that people will use that will either buffalo you or they will negotiate you. And I know that there is a lot of good spiritual people out there, but it's up to us and how we are open to open to hearing what they have to say. And then does it fit right? And then are we willing to do the work on the other side of it?
Yeah.
We have to do the work. Thank you, Kathy, for saying that, because we have to do the work. Everything I've gone through, it's been me and my spiritual team and my guides who have helped me do my work.
Yeah.
But it was my humanness that was willing to do it. And I know with you, Regan, that you've come through a lot in your lifetime, addictions and anger management, but it was nobody else
Hmm.
that did the work but you and your team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was lucky to have good therapists like, had a good team working with me, and some of it was the inner guides that helped me, like to get rid of one addiction that I had. I got rid of it in the dream state where they came to me and healed me. But that was, I guess, they felt I was ready and had learned my lesson. And then the other, I was guided to these really good therapists, that helped me. But I went through a number of them, like, I moved here and there, and would have one for 6 months, and then would move and, go to another one. And I was very lucky to have good ones. Now, sometimes people they'll look at me and they go, "Oh, Regan puts people in hypnosis and heals them and stuff like that." And I go, "No, I assist people in them having themselves go into trance or hypnosis. All we do is assist people in going to the other side, by helping them to relax, to get them in a state. But it's a person who allows themselves to be hypnotized, so it's something they do, not something that I do. Sometimes people, they want a reading from me, and I go, you got to call Natasha on that, because I don't do readings. I said she's able to do that, but so yeah.
It's a thing, and that's the way it is. But a lot of times life will put people in our lives to teach us how to listen to our own intuitiveness, our own inner voice, our own feeling. It's that, does it feel right to us? Do we hear yes or no? Do we get that inspiration of, oh yes, okay, but then I have to ask, why is this person feeling right to me sometimes? And ask those questions. Go the
Yeah.
360 questions and ask, why am I making an appointment? And that's why I have the 15-minute, consultation on there, to
Yeah.
get people to say, yeah, I feel right. And if I don't feel right, all the better. All the better that I don't feel right, because it's like there's somebody else out there better for you. I mean, because I want to help people. That is my life calling, is to help people. But there
Yeah.
again, it's up to that person who wants to have the help,
Yeah. There's a good book out there too. A lot of times, I mean, I'm getting a lot better following my intuition on people, and it's kind of cut out some of the learning curve that I had when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned to follow this inner guidance, as we call it. There's a good book out there that teaches you all about that. It's called Inner Guidance: A Divine Birthright by Anne Archer. And I've even heard her speak. I went to one of her book signings in her book, and people that I've recommended to read it, and they go, "Oh, that is so fascinating." And it just talks about how, as a young person, things happened to her, and she started realizing that we do have guides, to help us, and then learning how to listen to them through dreams and meditation, and just this feeling that happens when you just become vulnerable and kind of, open yourself to spirit, try to get your monkey mind out of the way, and just to start, you know, a guide once told a guide from the other side in a dream, told a person that, he says, "Look, I'm sending you stuff constantly all day long, but because you're still like this, you're only getting about 5% of what I send you. So you need to just be more vulnerable and just open that up, and then you'll be able to hear, this inner voice,
Exactly. Well,
yeah,
I hope that this helps, Soba, that you do have some, because you do have good guides. And I want you to know that, not tapping into you, and that's another thing. If people tap into you without your permission, they are not in integrity.
yeah,
So make
right.
sure
Always got
that,
to ask permission.
they need to ask permission first. And sometimes people can say, oh, like in the hallway, people had me, when I was having a reaction, they were walking up there, are you okay? Because it was on me, it was a signature around me that was saying that things weren't quite right.
Yeah,
But at the same time, though, they didn't, but I had to tell them what was going on with me, so there again, using key ideas like that can help maybe guide you towards somebody better, that
yeah.
fits you.
But there are a lot of good. I know so many of the Newton Institute therapists that I've met. I just went, wow, just, I mean, if I lived in their vicinity, it's like we'd be a big group of really good friends, because they are just so giving and loving and kind. But I think even that, if there was 10 of us lined up and we all can do the same process, um, it's like my energy will fit better with some clients than it will with others, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, it's that way. Well, it's like, it's like when people are dating and, you know, they could date five different, like these guys date five different women and they're all really awesome, really good women, you know, but some of them may be, I always, when I'm counseling people on dating and stuff, and I say, well, the thing is when you're dating, you want at least somebody that's in the ballpark, there, and you could figure this ball field and they're there and like, wow, this is a nice person. And then some of them, of course, when I use this analogy, some people use it wrong, but sometimes if you figure for you to really find someone that's your perfect mate, they have to be not only in the ballpark, but they have to go all around the bases and reach home, you know. And sometimes you go on dates and you have a couple nice dates, and after first base, and you just realize, nice, but it's kind of I need more, And sometimes you're with people in their third base relationships where, wow, maybe I'm going to invite them to go in parents. This might be the one, this is maybe the one, but then something happens and they never go to that home plate. You just have to be patient and wait till you get the right person that's going to go
Mm-hmm.
run all the bases.
With you.
And then that's the one. But those other people that were first, second, and third bases, they're all good people, and they're people you could learn something from. But they're not I guess you would call your soulmate or your main person.
Your
Sometimes
final
I,
mate.
yeah,
Or one of your final. Not everybody has a final mate. Sometimes there's two or
yeah,
three people that are your final mates.
yeah. I
Like
look at
you, Regan. You path. And I'm on my second marriage, so
yeah, yeah.
you know. Go ahead.
A lot of them. I mean, there's so much talk about soulmates and everything like that, and so we get bogged down in language in that. But what we learn from the other side is we all have these soul groups, and they're souls that we are best buddies, the ones that we incarnate regularly with. And some of them over there were closer than others, but we all love each other. And so down here, it's almost like you have, if you put in small letters soulmate, and then in bigger letters soulmate. And so, in other words, we're all down here to help each other in some capacity, some more than others. We found out from the research we're doing that sometimes your soulmate isn't the person you're married to. It could be a grandchild, or it could be the next door neighbor, or someone you work with. That's actually the person that when you're on the other side that you're closest to. But your soulmate sometimes comes down and plays other roles to help you. It could be your best friend who you can confide in, when you're having issues. Um, and sometimes soulmates don't come down. One of my friends had a life between life process, but I sent her to someone in Arizona that she went through the process with. And she'd been searching for that soulmate all the time. And she'd had guys that she dated and liked kind of, but they just weren't it. On the other side, she meets her soulmate and he says, sweetheart, you forgot we decided that this is a solo journey for you in this life, that I'm staying back on the other side and you're going to go down because we were getting so codependent in the things we did because we're so close. You needed to learn to be more independent, and you
Mm-hmm.
needed to learn to set boundaries, to step up for yourself, be a strong woman. And she realized that that's what she had become. But then he also told her, look, there's some souls down there that you could really benefit by having relationships with. It would help you and them. And that freed her up. So now she's been dating this guy for about 3 years and they have a great relationship. They're learning and everything from each other. But she knows her main squeeze is on the other side, and she'll see him when she leaves. So
Exactly. And that's the thing is that we put so many restrictions on what we think it should be. And it's like, if the universe says here, here's the journey, here's the moment, here you have it. And it is the pieces of the puzzle. I know that my husband is a piece of my dad and a piece of my ex and a piece of the guy before that and a guy before that and a girlfriend that I had, and that it's like it's the journey of what we are. And how do we do this? And I'm so grateful that everybody's here on this last day with thunder going on. This is amazing.
yeah,
Our
that's
last
good
show.
thunder.
Isn't it
That-
synchronistic about the thunder, about, time to
yeah,
break up the old patterns and to be
right.
who we are,
Yeah,
and thunder, the storm, weathering the storm. We weathered this storm so well, and what a moment that this is,
Yeah.
this is embracing us here. So Soba says, thank you. He says, thank you both. The point is, I came from a restricted religious background. I didn't learn anything about using my intuition or my inner guidance. I was looking for guidance outside myself.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so there is a lot of free information. Let's see. And I was still gullible by nature. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So what did you, everything is here to teach us, right?
Right.
Everything is here to teach us. So what did you learn about that? So I know on the Next Level Soul, because I was on that show, Alex is a good person. He's got good intentions. There's a lot of good speakers in there out there that he has that on. So take in what you feel like is your truth, and discern. You don't have to, there's a lot of information out there to learn how to listen to your own self. You don't always have to put money out there. There's a lot of free information. I know Regan and I, and on my life clarifications with Natasha, there's a lot of free information on that about how to start listening to your inner guidance, your inner truth, trusting yourself, and stretching and pulling, and how does the universe teach us something, and those kinds of things. So being in that minute of where we're at, it is about trusting the process of understanding who we are, but we have to go through the 101s and the nine,
Yeah.
the classes of the 99s and the 101s, and I have to go back to college to learn how to do basic math again, and that's okay. It's called a journey. And what can we do with the journey?
Yeah.
And the wisdom of that journey. So, and
Well,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Well, I was going to say for Soba too. One way to begin to start listening to that inner thing is to really be vigilant in setting up some sort of meditation practice. When my clients are on the other side and they ask the guides on the other side, what's the best way that we can connect or keep the distance between here and there shorter, and they'll say meditation, meditation all the time. It's like when your mind's quiet, that's when you can
Hmm.
hear. And also for me, I just in a spiritual path that found me, and there's a whole story on how it found me. It was called Ekankar, and basically they gave me the hue, which is an ancient name for God, and they said just sing hue. It's like hue, and you sing that 3 or 4 times. You just concentrate. You just kind of close your eyes and you concentrate on this right here, where we call the seat of soul, or the third eye, or some people. They said just do that, and you'll begin to have your own personal relationship with God. Well, I did that for weeks, and I was just nothing's happening, nothing's happening. I'm singing the hue, and then I sang the hue. I drifted off a little bit, and I had my first huge out of body experience where I found myself in the inner worlds, and that was a game changer for me. So that's one way. There's other ways, but God will, if you just kind of put out that thought, even if you're looking up and you don't know who your guide is, because we all have them, right, Natasha? Natasha can
Yeah, we
just
do. We have more than one, actually. We have,
yeah,
probably
they're
about
there.
10, 15 around us at all times. Yes.
So when you're a novice and you just haven't opened to that yet, just look up and fake it till you make it. I mean, look up and say, hey guys, I guess you're up there, and I want to start being opening to what you're saying. Help me open up, and then be proactive in that by beginning to listen. And that's through meditation or singing a mantra as you do that, because the sound is what I always think of it like, remember Open Sesame?
Hmm.
It used to be the old Aladdin thing. He had to have these words he had to say, sound, and when he said "Open Sesame" and the doors would open. Well, that's what mantras do. They have a vibration with them, and that vibration opens up things, opens the door. Hue, Hu. Matter of fact, on YouTube, there's one on there. If you just go Hue, a love song to God, it's about an hour long, and you just put that on, close your eyes, and listen to it. This is, I think, about 3 or 4 thousand people singing it at the same time, and it just vibrates through you. But some people, if that sounds too weird, then just something like Amen. You can just sing Amen or sing,
Mhm.
some of the ones that we've all heard like Om and Om. They all open the door to different level of awareness that way. So
Exactly.
anyway,
And
maybe that'll
so
help.
if we can give you this, this is actually a universal time where we're having to discern and wake up our own truths and stretch and pull it. And the only way you're going to figure out your truth is by stretching and pulling. And Sue says it's thundering at her house too now. Yeah, and it's starting to rain pretty
You're
good.
getting some
So
rain there.
yeah,
Yeah.
we needed it. Kathy also says, and sometimes soulmates come in to help us learn most challenging stuff. That is a truth case because
Really.
soulmates aren't always our love.
Yeah.
It's about tough love sometimes. Wayne Dyer said they were the person you want flush flush. Soul groups may be a term that opens us to larger perspectives. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that, we do have soul groups. We have soul life, um, like I don't even know it. I've been married to my husband now 32 years and I still don't know if he's really my soulmate, but he's been a
Hmm.
soul partner. He's been a soul teacher. He's been a soul love. He's been a soul moment. And you know there's that dance. I would almost say that my dad was my soulmate. The way that we just were
Hmm.
within each other's we finished each other's sentences. We did things together. We just had this uncanny way of knowing each other. And I feel like he was more my soulmate, but he was my dad, so he wasn't necessarily a soul love of a partner, but he was my partner in soul. you know?
Yeah.
So I almost think we should call them partners of soul more than soul mates.
Yeah.
Because mate almost says, "Oh, you're gonna be my mate. You're gonna be my love." You're No, but my husband of 30 years is totally my partner.
Yeah.
And for some reason we cannot not be together right now. It's like, I mean, but we can be without each other. He goes golfing, I go on trips, he goes this and that kind of stuff. But it's that there's something that always pulls us back together, you know,
Yeah.
and
What some
that's how.
people,
Go ahead.
we're always talking about people being there for us, but you have to remember you're here too for other people. We always,
Exactly.
because we always thinking on ourselves, but think about who you have responsibility for to be loving and kind to, to do good things, whether.
Oh, it's a technology day. Did we say that Mercury was in retrograde and life is happening around us? And Regan, is on his phone, I think. So sometimes when it gets hot, and that kind of stuff. Yes. So sometimes, yes. Some. Thank you for carrying on here. Let's see. Sue says, yes, some of my soul family hurt me the most, setting me up for healing. It was planned in the spirit. Yes, it was. And that's the thing is that when we're going through it's a story that how we're going to do it. And like Regan leaving, there's no mistakes. And how do we do this? How do we negotiate our story? It is about love. It's about life. So start, Soba, if you can, and anybody else who's listening, if you're looking for guidance, come back to you, the one in the mirror, and start looking at you, looking at what you're doing. Because like we said before, you are the only one that really can heal you. And doing this negotiation of things. And here we go. I
There I am. I was trying to swipe off my phone here. A caller was coming in because it was coming in my ear
uh,
too. So, and then that kind of messed things up. So sorry about that.
no, you're good. You're good. I have thunder. You have a phone call. It's called life, and what are we going to do about it? By just saying
Yeah.
that, oh my gosh, Regan, we're at the last 3, 4 minutes of our
Yeah.
show. And I'm
I
like,
know. Well, this I
Grief is
can't
an
wait.
interesting place. I was talking to my
Yeah,
nephew about how grief comes in, and it's not grief is not like a bad thing, but it's like it's a sad thing for a moment. But I'm like, hallelujah, there's something new coming for the both of us.
I
What
know.
an amazing gift. But
Yeah, like
ouch,
I can't wait
I'm
to
gonna
talk
miss
about.
this.
Yeah, me too. Well, in 3 weeks from now, just to see how your show starts going, and then when I'm guest, I can tell you how. I'm, I, my hair's gray. My hair's gray already, so it's either going to fall out or or something. Going to have these like 100 people that I have to get back to now.
Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
weird because I'm really thinking, and I think it's funny what's happening though is I already had. It's just how it's come together. I'm on the first part of September. Well, actually, in about 10 days, as it's turned out, I have about 6 sessions in 1 week, and that'll be the most I've ever done. And so I'm somehow when I'm on the road, I'm really focused because I have my Sprinter van and I drive, and it's just like I know I just help someone, then I, you know, sleep somewhere there, and I drive the next day to someone, and it's just like I'm on full time, like
Mm-hmm.
having a regular job doing it. And then what I try to do on the way down is have a day where I could golf, and on the way back where I could golf, just to kind of have chill and then get right back to work. So I may find out that I have asked, and I did a spiritual exercise the other night where I asked God to, I pictured my cup of the amount of light that I have, and I made a bigger cup, you know, because it can't be my energy. It's going to be the energy that I'm receiving, so I want to visually see that, yeah, I can do more and still be healthy, but I still have to do what they said. I got to spend some time in nature, do random acts of kindness, and have to do a little spiritual exercise as I wake up every morning for a minute or two. And then, keep in touch with other therapists and find out how they're grounding themselves so you can handle all of this energy that's coming through. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it'll be interesting to
Sea
see.
salt baths. Sea salt baths are a
I heard
great
that.
one. Are a great one to realign the energies of our body. And two, sometimes if we get really overwhelmed by energy, putting magnets in each hand and under each foot can help
Magnets, great.
balance
You know,
align the energies that tunes into us. Also, too, what I
yeah,
have found doing this is that I have stones that are handy
yeah,
and I sit with a stone, and sometimes that can help ground me.
yeah.
Um, and then I love the one that Kathy uh, London gave me.
That's
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah, isn't it? But it's that. So doing that, there's a lot of grounding stones. Kathy, can you mention a couple of grounding stones real quick? Uh, that that we can negotiate with doing
Yeah,
that. There's also when we do this, what I ask also is my team when I do spirit work is help me be the voice for the universe. Let me be who I'm supposed to be. Let me do the work that I'm meant to be. Let me stand aside so I can get out of my humanness. But then I come back into humanness. Sometimes I light a candle and that kind of stuff. So when we're
yeah,
going into these stories and into these knowings that there are tools to do it, but we have to sleep,
yeah,
we have to eat well, and we have to know that sometimes we have to say no,
yeah.
right? And doing that. Let's see. Thank you, Kathy. I knew it was going to take you a few seconds here. Oh, I love obsidian. So Kathy says hematite. Whoops, get out
Oh
that out
yeah,
of.
I do. I have a hematite.
Yeah,
Yes.
snowflake obsidian to dispel, let go of negativity. Garnet is another one, and for grounding and courage. Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah,
I
hematite
love
be good.
snowflake obsidian. I use that all the time.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny too. So God must have seen this coming because I mean, I just purchased about a month ago a grounding pad that I sleep on at night, and you can actually. What's nice about that, you can use a multi tester, and you can test to see how much electrical current you have going through your body, and then when you touch the pad, you see that you really grounds you, go down. So
Mhm.
that's hopefully that's helping too. So
Yeah. And then she says
stay grounded.
lapis and any obsidian, any red or black stones. So
Okay.
yeah, so those are all good grounding stones. I know obsidian is very good for helping to for protection and for letting go. I sleep with a snowflake obsidian sometimes because I if I'm doing a lot of processing
Yeah.
and using and we can use talismans to negotiate that. So there's a lot of things we can do with helping ourselves. And maybe Kathy, one of these days we can talk about that, and we can put that on my show too. You can come
Yeah.
on and talk about
Oh,
some
she'd be
stones and
great
that
on
kind
that.
of stuff.
Yeah, she'd be a
'Cause
great guest.
yeah, because she's great at with knowing stones, but believing in who you are and knowing what you're doing. But that's the thing. Um, we question mark? Yeah. She says, Kathy says, we question mark?
Yeah, she knows a lot about stones.
She does, she does. So going into life and managing our life, as we come down to the end of the last of the Dance of the Souls, remembering that these shows, we've had 3 years of shows, and it'll be on my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter AC, VENTERAC. You can go to them. I'm going to put probably the Life Clarifications with Natasha and Dance of the Soul together. So it's all old podcasts. And then the new podcast will start fresh here
Yeah,
in
good.
September. I'm not too sure how I'm going to run this yet on my YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
with that, Regan, I'm going to end this saying that you have been the best, amazing,
Hmm.
gifted partner in understanding the ups and downs, the wisdom, the
Hmm.
greatness that we all wanted to be. How we started out and how we're finishing are two different examples of the evolution of life. And thank you for being willing to accept us as we are.
You're welcome. Well, as I was saying, I mean, when I think back 3 years and where we are now too, I realize that this show, I mean, it's not just for you guys out there. It's each time we do a show, it helps us to rise another step, you know. So, you know, it just helped us to a lot too. So yeah, you've been a great partner there too. So we'll be in touch still, and I'll see you. Just when the third Wednesday comes up, just send me the link, and
Yep.
then we can decide what we're going to talk about. And I wish you best. I just have a good feeling that you're. It's funny that both of us are like simultaneously exploding out there with being able to talk to a lot more people. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. So to clarify, Every Day with an Angel will be every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time on YouTube channel, on Facebook, and I'm also on Twitter. But and I will be on Instagram when I don't have a guest, but that's going to be kind of like not very often. And then I'm changing my 2-minute videos or my posts and meditations as Every Day as an Angel minis or shorts, so that they can be part of the bigger picture of what I'm going to be doing with the Every Day with an Angel. Because Every Day with an Angel, if I didn't do something every day, then it's kind of weird podcast, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
I
you
did
have to
the
take
short.
it.
Yeah, so I did the shorts, and then Wednesday is the Every Day with an Angel. And if you want to look for podcasts that are not visual, and if you have friends who want this kind of information, that you can go to Every Day with an Angel podcast on any podcast platforms to do
Yeah,
this.
that'll be great. Yeah, I was going to say as you get older, it'll be once in a millennia with an angel or something. I wanted to just show you before we get off the air. Can you see that ocean out there?
Wow.
Isn't that neat? I'm just sitting right here, and it's so soothing and it's so beautiful. And
Wow.
I closed the window, or you'd be able to hear it. You know,
Uh-huh.
so you can see Monterey Peninsula over
Wow.
there. Yeah, it's nice. So it's a good. This is a good place, for us to do the show today. Um, so down here in this healing, in the healing vibes of the ocean.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I want to thank everybody too, especially our regulars that have stuck with us. So some of them have checked in and out for 3 years now. It's been really nice. And
Oh, you're so
yeah,
welcome,
you're
Sonia.
welcome, Soba. Yeah,
Yeah.
and continue, on Wednesdays to check her out. And of course, anybody, if they want to get a hold of me, it's visittheafterlife.com, and there's some great videos on there and everything to watch. And you can even see a young person going through this process where they go to heaven and back on the website. And if you want to have a session sometime, I'll be able to fit you in somewhere. So it's been
I
crazy
mean,
for lately.
yeah, you have this ebb and flow when this happens, and so. But yes, I think we do have
Yeah.
a conversation coming up, 15 minutes. So thank you. And Regan, I'm moving in. Regan, I'm moving in. LOL. I'm not getting that, Sue. I'm sorry. Regan, I'm moving in. LOL. Oh,
Oh, I
oh,
think
moving
she's.
into the apartment. Yes.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
yes.
I have to, get the room ready.
Yeah.
I think she's coming to LA. Yeah, or she's coming
Uh,
to
no, that sounds
California.
good. So
Yeah, look
with
me up,
that,
Susan, when you come here. Yeah, and see if I'm in Southern or Northern California because I'm back and forth. So that would be great. I feel like I know her really well after all these years.
I
You know,
know, I hear
she's a
you
great
there.
person. Thank you, Susan.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, Regan, thank you. I am so excited to have you on the third Wednesdays
third
of every
Wednesday.
month, starting September. And then
Yeah,
I'm going to have my friend Susie Parker Goins. She's going to be the first Wednesday of every month, and she is
nice,
magical with her show. And then I'm
nice.
going to have a guest on the second uh Wednesday in my brain just went whoop, whoop, whoop. The second Wednesday of the month, and she is amazing. I was on her show, and God, her my brain just went blank. Oh, I'm so sorry. I love the she's she was such a blessing to be with, and so if you go on my community page, gosh darn it, I hate disrespecting people. I really yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, I'm going on my just a minute here because I want to get her name right. Not I'm on stream
Yeah.
on my channel, and then community page here. So it is with yeah, come on, where are we at? Sorry about this. Oh, Stacy, with Stacy. Come on. I can tell my phone is not like wanting me to touch it right now. Um, with Stacy Cumlin. So Stacy Cumlin is going to be on my show the second Wednesday. So already in September, the only it'll be just me on the last Wednesday. So things are moving, things are shaking up. I'm
Yeah.
having another person that is going to be coming on. He's going to talk about addiction. That will be in
Oh, that's great.
October. And so I'm just so excited about this new growth. So thank you,
Yeah,
Regan.
me too. Okay.
Thank you,
You're
Patty, for
welcome.
putting up with us, in this dance. And I want Patty back on my show because we talked
Yes.
about manifesting that one day, and that was
Oh man, she is a manifester.
she
Just
is a manifester, and I just love Patty. So
me too.
blessings, everyone. Thank you for journeying with us. Thank
Okay.
you. I really hope that any of our shows from the past will be good. My love is with everybody, and Regan, my love is so with you.
Same here. Same to you.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye now.